everybody. Welcome back to the Routine Podcast,
Gymnastics Conversations.
I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chelsea's mom, Diana.
And we're back for episode 47.
And we are sitting in a hotel room in Norman, Oklahoma, having watched an amazing meet. And I know, Chelsea always gets mad at me because I always jump to the end.
Mom likes to spoil the fun in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, but obviously the number 1 and the number 2 schools in the country competing against each other. It was well worth the trip, and it was a difficult trip indeed to get here.
Oh my gosh.
It's the usual with us.
We don't do this on purpose.
We do not. We have nothing to do with it. It happens to us. Now, it started with you, right?
It started with me.
And again, we're in 2 different states at this point,
yes.
right? And we're just going to meet up in Oklahoma.
Yes. And we were both going to leave on Saturday afternoon. We were all good and dandy.
And I was perfectly fine that Saturday morning.
I was too until I woke up. So maybe I wasn't all good that Saturday morning.
You got a little ding.
Yes, I got a text message.
And you decided to look at it at 8:30 in the morning, which Chelsea doesn't do anything at 8:30 in the morning.
No.
Let's just say she sleeps at 8:30 in the morning.
And it said, your flight to Oklahoma City is now canceled. And the gag is there's only one nonstop flight a day.
From D.C. to Oklahoma. And so she doesn't call the airlines first. No. What's the first call she makes?
Mom, because Mom fixes everything, right?
And I could, but in this one, I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Mom was the least helpful person. It actually kind of made me a little bit irritated.
I could tell you were very, very
because
irritated.
Mom was just like, you're going to have to figure it out.
I did.
She was kind of just like, you're SOL.
I didn't do it that way.
You did.
No, I didn't. Because part of the issue is, of course, I'm flying out the same day. And I have my mom who's also flying out. So I'm making sure that she gets to the airport. So, I can't worry about Chelsea, too, at that moment. Although, it's not like I, hung up on you. I just said, this is what I would do if I was you. I would call the airlines.
I know, but
I would call the 1-800 number that they gave you.
Okay, but Mom, it wasn't how about you give them a call? It was kind of how can I tell her I'm not going to do anything by her reading between the lines? So you say, so if I was in your shoes, Chelsea,
that's what I did, actually.
I would call the airline and get on another flight. So I was kind of just here's some advice. Now stop calling me.
And let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I guess I'll see you in Oklahoma. Maybe not. So I booked the last flight out, which added another 3 hours to the trip.
Right, because it went from a nonstop to flying you to Houston and then flying you to Oklahoma. So anyway, long story short, although it's probably not going to be that short.
We're not even halfway through. Not even a quarter way through the story.
So I get to the airport with my mom, and I get a ding on my phone.
Probably at 1 o'clock in the afternoon now.
Yep. And my flight's supposed to go at 4. And it says, your flight has been canceled.
You know what that's called, Mom? Karma.
It was. And meanwhile, of course, Chelsea has already rebooked. And I decide I'm going to call Chelsea. She's laughing because she's smiling when I say, and my flight's been canceled, Chelsea.
And then I say, yeah, my new flight was just canceled too, but I didn't want to call you.
So there we both are, trying to get to Oklahoma, and 2 flights canceled. And I say to her, I think I'm just going to fly back home to Maryland, and let's just forget this Oklahoma thing.
Yeah, Mom was ready to ditch the whole plan.
I really was, because at that point, it's I'm kind of stuck here in the Midwest, and a big storm's coming in. So I knew whatever decision it was, I needed to make it.
Yeah.
And Chelsea says, let me just do one thing. Let me just look, and then I'll call you back.
So I told Mom, I was like, hey, so only this airline is canceling the flights. And then she's like, okay, well, you do you, and I'll do me.
I did say that.
And we'll meet in Oklahoma. So then at that point, I was like, okay, I gotta just take this and just figure it out on my own.
It really was. It was everybody's in for themselves right now. You take care of you, I'll take care of me.
So I took out my laptop, started doing some Google searches real quick. I ended up finding a direct flight straight to Oklahoma City. I hadn't heard anything from Mom. Like, is she still going? Is she going home? Because I'm not going to, like, buy a plane ticket if Mom isn't going to be in Oklahoma.
And meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm sitting in this airport, and there are no flights from St. Louis to Oklahoma, even though
which is insane.
It's like a stone's throw away. There's like no flights.
Yeah.
So finally I did my tried and true always thing that I will always do. I decided to take a train.
Which is Mom's actually preferred mode of transportation.
It really is. The problem with this trip is it was 2 trains and a bus. So I took a train from St. Louis to Kansas City. That was 5 hours. And then I took another train from Kansas City to Newton, Kansas, which was 4 hours. And can I just say that the train arrived in Newton, Kansas at 2:40 in the morning,
Oh my God.
at which point I needed to transfer to a bus that left Newton, Kansas at 4:30 in the morning, which in itself was crazy enough, again, but I love trains. But then when we arrived at Newton, Kansas at 2:40 in the morning, I'm looking out the window and there's just nothing but snow.
That storm that you were talking about, it
And
had come.
I'm in the middle of it. So then I get off the train and I'm dragging my suitcase and my little tennis shoes on through the snow. And now I'm here at this train station at 2:40 in the morning. Meanwhile, Chelsea, tell them where you are at this point.
Well, my luck actually got a little better after I had booked the third flight of the day. Got into Oklahoma City early. Went to the rental car place. They had run out of the type of car that I rented. So they're like, hey, you want a Mustang? We won't charge you extra for it. And I was like, I'll take the Mustang. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's brand new. I was like, all right. So I got the new Mustang. And then Mom had already booked the hotel, so I just rolled in the hotel.
And went to bed.
It was pretty nice.
Meanwhile, I'm chugga across the country. So my wonderful daughter picks me up finally at my stop in Oklahoma City. And, of course, I don't know what kind of car she's in. I just hear and this chick comes up in a Mustang.
At first, I called Mom. No, I think he said, where are you? I was like, oh, I'm outside. And she's like, what car? And I was like, I'm in a Mustang. And then Mom was like, Mustang, Sally.
I didn't sing it.
Then she's like, yeah, I think I saw you drive by.
That was like the exclamation point on the end of our trip. You picking me up at this bus train station terminal in a Mustang.
Yeah, this brand new Mustang.
Mustang Sally. But then what did we do? Our favorite, what we do anytime we're traveling, what did we do?
Waffle House.
Waffle House. Because I was hungry. But we had a good time.
We did. It could have been easier.
The meat was very well worth it. How about that?
Yes, I think so. But before we talk about our experience
At the meet,
which was fantastic in my opinion.
It really was.
Let's take a look back at some of the tweets we got this week. The first one is from Christina Chavonnet, and she said, Twitterless UNC gymnastics head coach Derek Galvin is one of the kindest people in NCAA gym, and he has really raised the game on theme meets to raise awareness for important causes. Thanks, Routine Podcast.
Christina's referring to our interview in the last episode where we got the chance to talk to UNC head coach Derek Galvin. And again, I think they're a team that really does the thematic meets the best in the country, really. Really good job.
Yeah, and I loved hearing why he's doing it. It's not just because, oh, let's just have a Be True meet or let's just have a Women's Day. There's really a reason why he's choosing all of these meets.
Another tweet that we had came from Haley E., and Haley says, do you think the SEC judges have been listening to your podcast? It's about time they gave out a 10. And what Haley's referring to is finally.
Mom has been waiting.
Oh my gosh. We saw 2 10s in the SEC this weekend. one from Lexi on bars. Actually, both from the LSU team, but one from Lexi on bars, which was a beautiful bar routine.
Really, really good routine. And that was her first meet back, and I think in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and she looked great.
She looked really good.
And the second was from Sarah Finnegan.
On beam.
Sarah on beam. 2 seniors got 2 10s.
Yeah.
And they were both from LSU.
Yeah.
So great job, LSU Tigers, and great job, judges. LSU almost scored a 198.
They did.
Georgia didn't do as well as they did last meet, but Sabrina did great, as usual.
Of course.
And the other meets we had this weekend were...
Auburn was at Alabama. It was Alabama's senior night. I was kind of torn because I wanted Alabama to do well, but I knew that Auburn was also in the running for the SEC.
I know, right?
Regular season champion title.
Yeah.
Auburn ended up losing. Alabama was definitely the better team that night.
Okay.
But hopefully it's a learning experience for Auburn and it doesn't get them down.
It shouldn't. They've had an amazing season so far.
Yeah. Michigan was at Utah. And actually, Utah ended up scoring the highest score of the weekend.
I know.
With a 197.975.
Wow, almost 198.
Another meet that happened this weekend that people were upset because it wasn't televised was the Florida at Arkansas meet.
Sure.
And this, again, they were fighting for at least a portion of the SEC title, regular season title. And they ended up winning, and they won the title. And since Auburn lost, it's their title for their own.
Wow. It should have been televised. I agree
I know.
with that.
I think the reasoning behind it was that they had another event, as if they can't televise 2 events on campus.
Right.
But especially a meet that people are fighting for the title for, the conference title.
Right.
You think that would be televised. And it's Florida. They're the number 3 team in the nation.
Yeah. To your point, they did win. Congratulations, Florida.
Yes.
Congratulations on being the SEC champs.
Yes. And it's kind of crazy because we're already at that point in the season where conference matchups are a thing in the past, and now we're moving into postseason.
We're already there, aren't we?
Crazy.
You can even see it with how coaches are choosing their lineups. Coaches already are being very strategic in who's going, which events they're going on, what their lineups are looking like, flipping the lineups around to see if it works better. And I think a lot of it has to do with this new postseason format.
It's like they're really trying to solidify and nail things down. And so should we move into the portion where we talk about the amazing meet that we saw this weekend?
I think so. First of all, Chelsea got us the seats, and she got us great seats.
Yeah, the seats we were right behind the beam. I think only 7 rows back.
Yeah, and it was great to watch both teams on beam, but it also meant we weren't that far from floor at all.
And the bars.
And bars. The furthest we were was from vault.
Yeah.
Yep. But we got here early, of course, after our Waffle House breakfast. And we got to see both teams warm up. And we just kept saying, because we've watched a lot of gymnastics, these 2 teams are so amazing.
Mm-hmm. I think the highlight for me was watching them warm up.
Me too.
They were just doing skills left and right. And honestly, we didn't know where to look.
No, usually we see a coach on floor during warm up helping a gymnast with their timer, or a coach on beam really giving direction and guidance. You see a lot more coaching happening, I think, during warm-ups. The coaches were like,
secondary.
Yeah, way back, just letting the girls do their thing. And as Chelsea said, you would watch Brenna Dowell do the Dowell. And she's got no coach near her, and she just tosses it.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the gym, you have Kyla doing her series perfect every time she does it.
Yeah.
And then when UCLA was warming up floor, you saw Kate throwing her double layout. Then you saw Nia throwing a full in. It was just you just could not keep up
Yeah.
with the skill level in the gym.
You'd look up and there's somebody twisting or there's somebody flipping, and it showed you how talented the teams were.
Yeah. The talent on these two teams is insane.
It is.
The gymnasts are just all so polished in everything that they do.
And I think that's what makes these two teams exciting too. They're so polar opposites.
Oh my gosh. Complete opposites.
Oklahoma is dialed in from the moment they hit the floor.
They're very traditional.
I don't know if I would use the word traditional. Depends on how you
They have
mean
a system.
I would actually say methodical.
Methodical, yeah.
This is how we warm up. Mm-hmm. This is what I do when I do it, right?
And it's going to be perfect.
Yeah. And if it's not perfect, we're going to do it again until it is perfect.
Seriously.
It's almost like, and this is not to be in a derogatory sense at all. It's like the Stepford Wives for that movie way back in the day. But it's just like, this is how we do it, and this is how we do it well. And they do it.
I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm going to say yes.
You're too young for it.
And then on the other side of the gym.
And then on the other side of the house,
you have
the
UCLA just, yeah, woo, yeah, let me do this, yeah. You see me? Let's dance.
And of course, they do everybody's choreography.
Yeah.
You know, from the
Together
beginning.
as a team.
Exactly. And even Miss Val's doing everybody's choreography too.
Yeah.
So it's like complete opposite.
And I wouldn't say that one is better than the other.
Clearly not. They're the number 1 and number 2 in the country. So it works.
Yeah, it's just whatever is your preference, really.
Yeah. And again, I think the reason that it's interesting to us is because it's such a stark contrast.
Yeah. And then they started the meet.
Concludes our touch period. We are now ready for the first rotation to begin.
The first rotation, you know, UCLA looked a little sluggish, I'm going to say. They started on bars. Oklahoma was on vault. Both teams, I think, had done better first rotations this season. I've seen Oklahoma nail their vaults one after another. And I've also seen UCLA hit their handstands better and have more sticks on bars.
And didn't Oklahoma have every gymnast had a 10-0 vault?
Yes, every gymnast did a Yurchenko 1.5.
And even though, like you said, they were sluggish, they basically tied after their first rotation.
Mm-hmm. But we forgot to mention that was Kyla's first 10 of the night.
That's right. And it was a beautiful bar routine.
It was. And so then they flipped. UCLA went to vaults. Oklahoma went to bars. And I was excited to watch Brenna on bars.
I was excited to watch Brenna all night long, actually.
I know. She's so aggressive in everything that she does.
Yeah, and confident.
Yeah, totally confident. You can tell she's a senior.
Yeah, and you can tell, too, you know, we've had the chance to talk to a lot of seniors and watch a lot of seniors this year, that she is most excited about this year for herself. She's just leaving it all out on the floor every time, and you can see that in her.
Mm-hmm. And UCLA kind of struggled on vault. Vault has always been...
They really did.
Vault has always been their nemesis. I think they were hit extra hard on vault this meet. I don't think the scores necessarily reflected what their vaults actually look like in person, but the vault judges in general were pretty harsh.
They were tight.
Yeah, but not too tight for Kyla.
No, and at that point, too, her score was really needed for UCLA at that point.
Totally.
Again, you had a team that did all 10-0 vaults to a team that did not do all 10-0 vaults, and even their lower valued vaults received lower scores.
Yeah.
So it was not a great rotation for UCLA.
Mm-hmm. So Kyla was on track for a perfect 40 after 2 rotations. And Oklahoma was leading UCLA 99 to 98.525.
Yeah, so that's when you're like, okay, if UCLA is going to come back, they're going to have to start now.
And honestly, in that moment, I thought the meet was over.
Did you?
Coming back from 5/10, either you need to like be absolutely perfect or the other team needs to mess up.
Well, I think I didn't realize that difficulty because you said to me, And UCLA is going to their best 2 events.
Yeah, but still,
They're against Oklahoma.
well, that, and it's like what Bart and Kathy always say, there's no defense in gymnastics. The only way, if you're behind another team, to get ahead of them is if they mess up.
Got it.
So you're really banking on a mistake on the other team.
Right.
No matter how good you do here on out, once you dug a hole, it's hard to get out of that hole.
Yeah, got it. Well, and then at that point for me too, watching Oklahoma on beam, and again, we're right next
there.
to the beam. They were dialed in.
I kept leaning over to Mom, like, if I was in this situation, because we didn't mention the crowd. There were so many people there. That arena is pretty big, and I think they said it was over 10,000 people.
Doubled their highest number of folks ever. I assume their highest number of folks were like 5,000.
Yeah.
Doubled their highest ever.
And that was
meet.
a couple weeks ago when Florida came to town. So it wasn't like they have been like averaging like 5. They had just hit that 5 a couple months ago.
Yeah, and so then doubled it at this meet.
Yeah.
And that was loud.
So loud.
And they were on beam. And of course, they know how close the score is. And so they dialed in. So Brenna went first. And then after Brenna was
Nicole Lehrman.
Nicole.
She knocked it out of the park. I really, really like Nicole and her gymnastic style. She's also very aggressive, but she has like a little bit of like
Sash.
swag.
Yeah, she does. And she had that look on her face.
She was determined.
Oh, she was. And meanwhile, then there was UCLA on floor.
And I think at this point, scores were pretty even.
They were tight on both sides.
Exactly. Like nothing was too crazy on either side. And UCLA was doing UCLA on floor. No major mistakes.
And they were fun to watch. It started with Margzetta. And she was, oh my gosh.
She is a great leadoff.
And the thing is, we've watched UCLA's floor routines on TV. It's not the same watching them in person.
It's better.
It's way better.
And the thing is, I enjoy watching them on TV. But guys, imagine watching them in person and it being better than what you're seeing right now on TV.
Yeah, because in person, it's like this larger than life thing happening in front of you.
And the music, you can really hear the different beats and tones in the music in person that you don't hear on TV.
Exactly. So it's really like watching a performance, you know, like going to a concert and watching a concert.
It's entertainment.
It really is. And it started with Margzetta, and she's flipping that ponytail and rolling and kicking and
the sass and the face.
Oh, she walks out on the floor that way, right? And it's like, here we go. And meanwhile, while that's happening again on floor, this kind of
power circle, boost.
Music, power circle, entertainment over here on beam,
Oklahoma.
Those that still have to compete beam on the side, going through their mental warm-ups, their mental sets, getting ready to go on beam. And then I think there was a fall, wasn't there?
Yes. Carly Woodard actually fell on her series, which was really unfortunate because her beam routine was really, really pretty.
It really was. But we only mentioned that to say, and that's when the tension got way tighter in the room. And that's when the ladies that are on the side getting ready to go, you could see they kind of dialed another whole level about getting ready.
Yeah.
Because they knew that they had to hit.
Yeah. And Kyla on floor, I thought it was a 10-0 routine, but also I really just wanted her to get a perfect 40. But it was really a 10-0 routine.
It was a beautiful routine.
And she got a 9.975. So basically pretty close to a 10.
Absolutely.
And Anastasia got up on the beam and did what she knows how to do.
She was beautiful.
So pretty. I really, really love Anastasia as a gymnast as well.
I do too.
And Maggie...
Yay,
it came down to Maggie so that they wouldn't have to count a fall.
And the thing that's interesting about Maggie's routine, we learned later, Maggie actually this week had 0 practices in the gym on beam. 0. So just imagine that. She hadn't touched the beam all week and hit the beam routine that she hit. 9.975, I think?
Yeah.
Maggie also touch and go this whole week. She's been having foot issues, knee issues, so we've been trying to protect her. We're kind of weaning her in one thing at a time, doing what she is capable of doing. Of course, she would tell you she can do it all, but we have to be really smart. We have a lot of season left. You know, again, Maggie, did you touch the beam this week? No, she did not touch the beam this week. Did not practice this week. 9975. So that just tells you a lot about Maggie Nichols.
Hasn't touched the beam this whole week.
That is insane. Because not only are you messing with your physical ability at that point, mentally, a normal gymnast would be in their head thinking, I haven't practiced all week. I'm not able to do this. But for Maggie, it's okay. Yeah, I got this.
And think about it. She hit that with the pressure that she had at that moment, with your teammate have fallen, the score is as close as it is, and she hit everything.
And got a 9975.
And was gorgeous.
So pretty. So pretty.
I was watching her mom the whole time. Her mom is her biggest fan.
She is. Just like you were for me.
Exactly. Although different, her mom actually watched her compete beam. I would have been out in the hallway.
Yeah, Mom was not a fan of watching beam.
Tell me how it goes in there.
And Kate ended it on floor.
Yeah, I was
with
looking,
a 10-0.
Yeah, and I was looking forward to watching Kate. Is that 3 10-0s in a row for her?
It's something crazy.
Yeah, I think it might be. And it was beautiful.
And what I really liked about Kate and her competing in that arena is that everyone in the arena was behind her, cheering for her.
Yeah.
I really do feed off of the crowd. So anytime I hear loud applause, it just makes me more motivated. I soak it all in, yeah.
Has the pressure of that changed, though, since the attention that you got?
Honestly, not really. A lot of people ask me that. It's I go into every meet with the same mindset, which is to have as much fun as possible. So I haven't allowed the pressure to get to me.
I'm going to ask you after we talk about Oklahoma on floor, but I want to know, I'll just warn you ahead of time, what was your favorite floor routine that we watched? You can think about it.
I think I already have an answer, but we can come back to it.
Okay.
Are you going to answer it too?
I will. So at this point, beam ends for Oklahoma, floor ends for UCLA, and it's a tie.
Of course.
A tie.
After tonight's third event, and we are all tied up. Oklahoma and UCLA both with a 148.200 with one rotation remaining.
And this meet last year when they were in UCLA, going into the fourth rotation, it was a tie.
Yeah.
So you can't ask for anything better.
No, and UCLA goes to beam.
Which they're ranked number 1 in the nation.
And Oklahoma goes to floor.
Which they're not ranked number 1 in the nation.
They're not.
But they were at home.
They were
in front of their home crowd.
Yeah. And Boomer Sooner Nation starts.
And it got pretty loud.
Sooner Nation, this is our house. We need to make some noise. It's the fourth rotation. She's at India. Boomer! 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 And competing first on the beam for UCLA, Grace Glenn.
So I was interested to see how this final rotation was going to pan out, because you could see the final 2 competitors in the third rotation for each of the teams. The scores started to creep up a little bit more than it had been earlier in the entire meet.
Yeah.
So I was going to see if the judges were going to keep creeping up or if they were going to come back down and stay within this kind of modest judging that we had seen all night.
They crept back up.
Yeah, it kind of stayed up.
And it stayed up.
Yeah, which is okay. I mean,
it was a beautiful meet.
Yeah, it was.
It was a beautiful meet, beautiful gymnastics. I think UCLA did not have their best beam.
No. They didn't have their best meet, period.
They didn't have their best meet. I think
they definitely got better the third and fourth rotation. They were a little sluggish, and I think it goes back to there's no defense in gymnastics, and once you dig a hole, you have to dig yourself back out, which is really, really hard, especially when you're going against the number 1 team in the nation at home.
I was going to say at home on floor.
Yeah. It's tough.
Okay, so favorite floor routine. You said you already had your answer. Did you?
I know, but I have It's going to be an Oklahoma gymnast, which may surprise some people.
It's not Kyla on floor?
No.
Okay.
And I think it's the Oklahoma gymnast because, like we said, for the UCLA floor rotation, watching Oklahoma in person is a lot different than watching them on TV.
Agree.
When you can hear their music, a lot of their music is very intricate, and it's kind of like a build-up type situation where you don't experience that watching it on TV.
Agreed.
But I think, can I list my runner-up?
Sure.
My runner-up is Jade Vega, who really, I love how she performs the routine. Like, she walks around like her S don't stink. And it fits her perfectly. Like, it's not a bad thing because you can see that she's just completely in character.
Sure.
But my favorite from the night is Anastasia Webb.
I know. She's my favorite, too.
Really?
The
Seriously?
way she
the
does
whole night?
Yeah.
Out of all of the routines.
Yeah, and again, it's not her tumbling passes. It's her dance.
And I think her being a leadoff on floor with that routine, it just captivates
It sets
everyone.
everybody up.
It does. Mm-hmm. And she does it so well. And I really, really liked her floor routine last year. And I didn't think that she'd be able to top that floor routine. But this floor routine is just as good. And the music is so, so good, especially when it's loud in the arena and everybody's on the edge of their seats. And she just does it so well.
Yeah, it's almost like you're watching like an ice capades.
Right. It's just like, oh.
Right. You want her to do like flip with ice blades on or something, you know?
And sorry to cut you off, but
you did cut me off.
but I just gotta add, I feel like everyone in the arena was just so captivated by it. It's one of those moments where you just can't cheer for it because you're just so entranced.
Yeah, entranced is a good word.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about UCLA floor routines as well, which we love to watch.
Yeah.
But Anastasia's performance I just think is at a different level. Mm-hmm. One is like fun to watch, you know,
entertainment and flashy. And
woo. And they're great. And I think UCLA's routines are great because they're so different. Mm-hmm. So from Gracie to Kyla to Caitlin, Margzetta, they're all just different. And so part of what you're watching is just how different and fun they are. So that's, to me, different when you're watching Anastasia, who is in character performing.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Doing the arms and the legs and the toe points. Yeah, so she's my number one, too. Now, my number two, my runner-up, of course, is Brenna.
Brenna.
Because of the tumbling. You know, I can pick
the Dowell.
I can pick Anastasia because of the gorgeousness of how she performs. I can pick Brenna because of the power.
Oh my gosh. Guys, Brenna is so aggressive. How many times did she warm up the Dowell and you and I just looked at each other?
Yeah.
Just like, what the heck?
And again, there's not a coach in sight that's helping her with anything. Brenna just tosses it.
Yeah.
She tosses herself in the air.
In a perfect pike position with her toes pointed, legs straight.
Yeah.
And in the meet, she over-rotated it. How do you over-rotate a double front pike?
Yeah, so Brenna's my runner-up. Just because, one, we can go with pure dance elegance, and the other, we just go with pure power.
Yeah.
And again, not to take away from UCLA's floor, because that's one of the reasons we came, and it was well worth it. But in those two precise moments of Anastasia and Brenna, those are my favorite floors.
And I think it's a favorite for me because I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
I wasn't expecting to be so entranced with Oklahoma's floor dance.
Yeah, I think to your point, Oklahoma is better to watch in person.
They are.
What you don't see on TV is kind of KJ's hand on top of everything. Mm-hmm. You know, not in a loud way, but just right before they go up on beam. Mm-hmm. And she's talking to them about what they're about to do, I'm assuming. And then when they get off beam, she's talking to them about what they just did. It's like a conductor of an orchestra.
Actually, in the press conference, she mentioned that this is all of the young ladies competing. This is all them. I'm just here to facilitate, maybe give some encouraging words, but this is all of them. I respect that from a head coach, where it's not about the fanfare and everything that I'm doing and this is my team. These are the gymnasts on my team, and they're going to take responsibility for their gymnastics because I have the confidence in them.
So here's what she had to say after the meet.
I did not perform. These guys performed. And I can tell you this. I can't imagine how they felt. That was double our highest attendance. No one in this row has ever had that kind of crowd come out at home for them. You know, I'm just standing on the side rallying them. I can tell you, we have never appreciated anything so much. For people to come out and cheer us on, knowing we needed their support in this kind of situation, amazing. But they're the ones who got to actually show off in front of them.
So in the end, Oklahoma ended up winning. The final score was 197.775 to 197.575. It was a fantastic meet, great gymnastics all around. I think it was a win-win for the sport of gymnastics regardless of the scores.
I totally agree, Chelsea. It was amazing meet. What also made it amazing for us is that we got the chance to meet with some of our listeners. Mm-hmm. We were sitting watching the meet, and we had folks come up to us and say, hey, we listened to your podcast.
Which is like so insane.
Yeah, it is. It's so exciting. We hear from people all the time via Twitter, but to see people in person and just hear the appreciation from folks that they like the podcast, it really did my heart well.
Yeah. And actually, we were sitting literally right next to one of our listeners, Jacqueline, and she said not only was the Oklahoma versus UCLA gymnastics meet amazing, my sister and I got to sit next to the Routine podcast, Chelsea and her mom. So fun chatting the meet with them.
And it was. And Jacqueline was one of the ones where she just happened to be sitting next to us. And she looked at me and said, hey, I listen to you guys all the time. I love it.
Because Mom and I have these T-shirts with our logos on them. And I guess people saw the logo. So that's how people knew who we were.
Right.
And then we also met Sarah, who came up to us at the end of the meet. And she said, gymnastics fans are generally such great people. I went to the Oklahoma versus UCLA meet by myself and had a great time nerding out with the couple next to me and got to meet the Routine podcast. The 10,000 plus crowd absolutely loved seeing high level performance regardless of who were wearing the leotards.
The other person we had the chance to talk to was Neil Glenn, Grace and Anna's dad. He was at the meet from UCLA, so we got the chance to give him a hug, say hi. And he introduced us to Maddie Koshin's dad. Maddie looks like her dad.
Yeah, UCLA had a pretty big fan section there, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, it was. So it was just a fun had all around.
And everyone is so nice, which is great to see at such a large competition. Obviously, people have who they're cheering for, but I think at the end of the day, everyone just wants great gymnastics.
And they got to see great gymnastics today.
Mm-hmm. So after the meet was over, Mom and I made our way down to the media room to talk with Maggie Nichols, Brenna Dowell, and Head Coach KJ Kindler.
Great night.
Yeah.
So how nervous was anybody?
I honestly wasn't too nervous, actually. When I saw the crowd after we marched out, I was just so ready to go, and I was so pumped up the whole time. Like, vault after vault, I was screaming, running down the runway, and so I was just so excited to go out. I remember I was chalking up, and I was like, I can't wait to do my routine. So I was just really excited.
How much of it was from last year, they're not going to beat us this time, they're not going to beat us at home this time? How much of it was that?
I think a lot of it is just kind of like new year, new season, new team, and it's kind of like UCLA has a new team, we have a new team, and everything is different. Lineups are different, so it's kind of just go out there, focus on what you do, and do your best work that you've been doing in the gym. And the warm-up was really good, and we were excited to get out there, and so it was really fun.
We didn't talk about that at all. It was used in our marketing because, of course, who doesn't want a rematch, you know? But honestly, as a group, we didn't talk about that at all. That wasn't our focus. Brenna's right on.
Yeah. Favorite thing about tonight? KJ?
The crowd, absolutely.
I'd have to agree, the crowd. It was so loud, it was so fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna go with that floor rotation.
Okay, yeah.
That was amazing. Anastasia starting us off, like Joe and Emma hitting amazing routines, and then just me, Jade, and Olivia having good routines at the end to bring it home. It was tied. We had to go out there and do our job, and we did.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to ask a mom question. I watch your mom all night. right? Even at warm up, your mom's like,
Oh my gosh.
Maggie! So tell us about your mom. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I love her. She has such a beautiful heart. She just supports me in everything that I do. And so seeing her in the crowd and seeing both my mom and dad, they always come in like the first row when we're warming up. And they're like, Maggie, Maggie, Maggie. Every single time I walk by, I'm like, hi, I guess you're there. But it's just, I know you're there. I know you're there. But it's just so incredible to have such an amazing parents who support me and support my team. I love it. It's amazing.
Well, good. And then we have to ask the senior question. How do you feel about being a senior this year?
It's really exciting. It's bittersweet because it's kind of like something I've done my whole life is coming to an end, but I don't really think about it like that. I kind of think of it, it's like my last season. Put it all out on the floor and just go out there and have fun. And it's been a really great season, and I'm hoping to continue and just really enjoy my last little bit of gymnastics.
Sure. How's the body feel?
It's good. It's kind of, the end of gymnastics, little aches and pains here and there. But overall, it's holding up.
Yeah, good. And you competed all around?
That's been super exciting. It's kind of been a dream ever since I got to college, kind of to get in the all-around, and I've been in vault, bars, and floor. And this year I finally managed to break the beam lineup, which is so special because this is the best beam lineup in the country. And so it's really cool to finally do that my senior year.
Sure. And how did that happen, KJ? How did she end up being on beam in the all-around?
Honestly, she's been on the brink of it for many years. Like, she's been the alternate and stepped in. Last year really was kind of the beginning of it, I think. She exhibitioned 4 times, got like 9 nines every time she went out there. She was whispering to me, I'm ready. Put me in. So we definitely knew that. Her consistency's grown too, I will say, because I do go a lot off practice. And she wasn't as consistent in practice her first couple of years, and she's just gotten better and better. And we found a series that works and that's a little more aggressive, I think. I think she needs a more aggressive series. Today she didn't actually do what she normally does. But we have that backup, and she's really strong upstairs, so she knows when to do it and when not to do it. But I think making her start with something very aggressive, she's an aggressive athlete, and so that helps put her on point. But she earned this. So
postseason, what are we thinking?
I think it's going to be very interesting with the new format. I'm kind of just looking forward to how we'll strategize about that, because there will be a lot of strategy involved for many teams, I imagine, having to do back-to-back at regionals and nationals. And so, obviously we take one day at a time. That's our goal. So we're not really thinking about the semifinals or the Final Four, anything like that. We go one step at a time. So, next week we have a double weekend. That's going to be a challenge for us, and that's really where our minds are at right now.
I'm just really excited to see how the team unfolds at the end of the season. I know we have so much talent, and we have really strong chemistry this year, so I'm just really excited to see how it all unfolds, and I'm just really excited.
Great.
Yeah, I think this year has been an interesting year. Like KJ said in the press conference, every single meet we've had changes in lineups, and I feel like every meet we're building off the next. And so I feel like we have so much room to grow, and I'm excited to see this team grow. And we have Big 12s here, which is exciting, and regionals and nationals. I'm just so excited to finish it out with the best team.
Thank you, guys. It was so nice.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Wonderful. So, we do a lot of interviews. We have done a lot of interviews this year. This was one of our most fun. Having all 3 of them sitting together, and they had just won the meet. It was almost like a little family that we were sitting with at the table talking with.
Yeah, it was such a laid-back interview. And what you see on the competition floor is a lot different than their personalities in person. On the floor, everyone is very precise, in the zone, focused. But when we were talking to them, it was just like you're talking to your friend.
Yeah, and it's like KJ's almost like their sister.
Yeah, as a head coach, KJ seemed very trusting of them.
And them trusting of her.
Exactly.
We interview lots of coaches, but when you compare their styles, right, you've got Miss Val, Dee Dee, KJ, Coach Galvin. Everybody's got such a different style. And it is so important that the gymnast and the coach's styles come together, and that truly is what determines the success of a team. The only one we haven't gotten the chance to, which I'd love to talk to, is Jenny Rowland.
Yeah, I feel like she would be very interesting too.
Right? Just to better understand kind of her personality as well.
Yeah, because you can see how they directly influence the team.
Right.
And the culture of the team.
Absolutely.
And I really like this also because we talk about the SEC teams a lot, but I think getting to step outside the box to a realm that we're not really familiar with in the Big 12 with Oklahoma, and learning about them and their team and what goes into the process of developing a national championship team is cool to see. And I just learned a lot more about this University of Oklahoma team.
Fun day, great day, worth the trip.
I think so too. I really enjoyed it, and everyone at Oklahoma has been amazing.
Yay, Lindsay. Thank you so much for coordinating everything.
Yes.
Lindsay's the media coordinator, and she's the one that helped us get the interview. So thank you, Lindsay, so much. Thanks
Yes.
for the hospitality and helping make our trip wonderful.
Yes. And thank you to everyone who said hi to us. If you all ever see us at a meet, we're usually wearing Routine Podcast shirts, black shirts. So we love it whenever people come up and say that you listen to us.
We really do.
Great weekend, Mom.
Yay,
High five.
High five. Now we got to get home.
Yes.
If I get a text from that airlines,
It's a wrap.
then I have to do a bus and 2 trains to get back home again.
No.
I'm with you, girlfriend. I got to get home.
This weekend, like I said earlier, we're kind of out of the stages of regular season matchups, which is so crazy.
It really is.
So we're back to some interesting matchups like it was the first week of meets to elevate the stage. The first night will be Arkansas, Georgia, Michigan State, and Minnesota. And then the second night will be Alabama versus Auburn. Maybe Auburn will take the W this time. Who knows?
And then we've got Southern Utah competing against Utah State. We've also got Oklahoma against Michigan. Arizona State is against Pitt, Nebraska, and they are at Denver.
Can I just mention, Denver is crushing it.
We got to go see Denver, Chelsea.
Maybe we can get an interview from someone from Denver
That'd be
on an
great.
upcoming episode.
Let's try to get that.
Would you guys be interested in that?
I'd be interested in it.
Let us know.
And then we've got Stanford at UCLA. So a good weekend of meets.
Yes. Gearing up for postseason here. So it should be another great weekend of meets. We're coming up here on conference championships, which is very exciting. But thank you guys for joining us on our little road trip to Oklahoma.
We've got one more local road trip that we're going to try to do. And then we're headed to postseason.
Yeah, let us know if you want us to speak with anyone from Denver. You can tweet us. Our Twitter is @RoutinePodcast. You can email us at info@theroutinepodcast.com, or you can leave us a voicemail on our website, theroutinepodcast.com.
And you can do that by going to the top navigation. You'll see something that says be a part of the conversation. If you click that, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a microphone. Click the microphone and leave us your voicemail message.
And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.